What's good, crew? I'm here with Mark Baker, and he's about to answer some of your questions you've been asking us in the comments. Make sure you hit that follow and subscribe button if you want more of these videos. We're definitely going to try to make sure we hit as many of them as possible. So if you haven't seen your question just yet, be patient. It is coming. We got a lot of questions, but we want to make sure that everybody's getting the value that they need out of it. So we're going to dive into that and see what Mark got for us, all right? Okay, let's dive into some of these questions. Mark, our viewers have definitely had some good ones for us. I'm going to hit you with a two-finger one-handed one because you get so many of those already. Can you provide some help with a two-finger one-handed on shooting a 7 or a 10 pin?
Well, obviously, if you're right-handed, let's go with that.
Yep.
So obviously, you're shooting the 10 pin, you're using 2 fingers, no thumb. Your best bet's got to be a plastic ball.
Yeah.
Because the whole purpose of not having your thumb in it is to have a higher rev rate, make the ball hook. So when you're shooting a 10 pin, that's anti of that. Now the 7 pin should be your easiest spare. Here's the easy way to do it. You're lined up, you're hitting the pocket, leave a 7 pin. Take your strike ball, move your feet about 8 to 12 boards right, move your target a whole arrow to the right, and pretend that in the middle of your frame, they changed the game of bowling. Instead of the head pin being the goal, they made the 7 pin now the head pin. And you had no warm-up shots. How much would you move your feet? How much would you move your eyes? And you've got to hit the 7 pin like a strike ball. You move your feet about 10, your eyes 5, and you wouldn't even think about it. You throw in the dry and let it curve over there and make it. Or remember that when you shoot spares. If they change the game of bowling on you in the middle of your frame, no warm-up, you just had to make the 7 pin the new head pin, what would you move? Right to the head pin. People are pretty good at adjusting at the pocket.
Yeah.
Like leaving the 3-6-10. In the middle of the approach, it said now the 3-6 is going to be the new 1-3. What would you move left? And you get no warm-up. About 8 with your feet left, 5 with your eyes left, maybe not quit it quite as hard, and your ball with the 3-6 like it's now the 1-3. Or another way of putting it, if you're 8 and 5 too far left, you would leave the 1-2-4. You wouldn't even leave a washout. Well, if you leave the 1-2-4, you made the 3-6-10.
You did. That's a strike.
That's another way of looking at it. On the 10 pin, obviously, the easy way to think about it with a no thumb, when you let go of the ball, your thumb should stay at the right wall. Because what happens is you get no thumb in it, and you get it and you rotate it, and your hand goes up. So when your thumb faces the ceiling, that's what makes it the ball hook. So now you're shooting a 10 pin, you don't have your thumb in it, throw it so your thumb stays to the right. Now that doesn't feel very comfortable, but that's in essence almost a backup ball, which people with no thumb almost have to do.
Understood. Understood. I see people with one hand and 3 fingers also still sometimes almost throw a backup ball from just throwing it straight enough.
You're seeing that more and more in play. I mean, obviously the two-handed world, it's getting very popular. Last TV show I watched Jason Bomani on, he shot the 3-6-10 with the backup. Obviously Anthony Simonson's a little different animal. He shoots, he can throw it any way he wants. Back up, straight, hook it. That boy's got no fear. He's liable to do anything.
Very true. Next question. Why did he say not to start with your palm facing the ceiling? Why did you tell one of us that?
Because that's not how you walk down the street. when you stand up, your thumbs hang in. So when you hold it like this, when people tell you stay behind the ball here, I would much prefer that. Because that way you push it, it swings back. You're trying to create a swing. And a guy like you would be a good example. We might do it later. If I put your thumb out and I pull your arm all the way back, a guy that's in shape, you know what's going to happen? Your tricep is going to engage. Once your tricep engages on the backswing, that's as high as your arm will go.
Yeah.
Now, if I take my thumb and roll it in like my arm swing, my
further.
tricep never engages. Now I get a high swing. From the top of swing, my hand goes to the middle, and I have that window on the bottom. So if you want more length of swing, don't try. This is not how my arm functions. There's tension right here. Everybody, I mean, people that tend to get like this in their stance tend to throw it like this at release.
Yeah.
Guys that hold it like this in their stance tend to throw it like this at release. It's how your body functions. Then I add bowling onto it.
I think I just had a light bulb moment, guys. Okay, great answer, by the way. Next question. Did Mark make any comments to Tony about Tone's left hand sliding up during his swing? I'm fairly new to two-handed as well and was curious as to if this was a tactic for higher ball swing or if it would cause your wrist to uncurl too soon by him.
I tend not to watch the left hand very much. I just want to make sure it doesn't come off too soon. I've never been a big left-handed guy on the one-handed or two-handed. I just don't want it going forward, and I don't want it going up. If it goes up, it raises your center of gravity, and I never want your left arm to go forward at release if you're one or two-handed for one special reason. If you ever got in a fist fight and you punch somebody with both hands, you're going to lose the fist fight. So if you throw the ball forward and your left hand's going with your right hand, it's hard to be in balance. You're not going to have much power on it.
Not much power.
It's a balance arm. So two-handers all kind of take it off. kind of at the bottom of their swing. It almost gets to one. It really does get to one hand as the ball comes off their hand.
Yeah.
Left goes around. Some keep it in front, some coming back. So I've never been I've measured it, and I cannot find a spot where everybody's left arm goes. So I do know that I don't want it to go up, and I don't want it to go forward.
So, could you relate that to basketball then, and having the guide hand on your shot?
Exactly. If you watch all the best shooters, we get here right. Like my son when he was younger, when they're little, that left hand stays on too long because they're trying to get it to the basket. I keep saying, if your left hand's helping, you're shooting too far away. Big advantage I had, I never stepped back a shot in my life. I had no three-point line. All my job was to get a step closer, get a step closer, get a step closer, because the shots from 28 feet and the shots from 2 feet had the same value, too. So I never played where I was taking a step back. So obviously, as soon as he started playing basketball, three-pointer.
Yeah.
You want to be Steph Curry. Like, you can't even hit the rim. So what happened was at 8 or 10 or 12 footers, his hand would come off and the rotation would be like Ray Allen's. Perfect. Larry Bird, all those guys. I'm like, why am I picking the Celtics? I hate the Celtics.
They had some shooters, though. We'll give them that.
Got to give them that. Larry Bird, Ray Allen, you could do way worse than that.
They had some shooters.
So, but if you left hands on it too long, then his rotation would look like Jamal Wilkes.
Yeah.
And only one guy who made that work was Jamal Wilkes.
Jamal Wilkes.
The only guy who made that rotation go like this. So yes, in two-handed, if your hand stays on it too long, I've seen people try to pull their left hand down. That causes way too much rotation. It's still a one-handed release. It just comes off way, way later.
True. Understood. Next question. On your two-handed video, you show the timing spot in the ball position as the slide step goes flat. Famous Belmo pose. For the Matt Ogles and Justin Knowles in the world, where should that ball be for a planter as the plant foot lands? I always tried to make my ball be in the downswing spot like Belmo, as his slide foot stops sliding, ball just above the knee, right when my plant foot lands. Am I right in that thinking?
Yeah, so I measure planters when their heel hits. So Matt Ogle, good example, great timing. Very, super long arms, very good bowler. So when Matt's heel hits, he's in the timing spot. When their foot gets flat, they're a little bit below it. Just like one-handers. I use Shannon Pulowski, Michael Haugen as some of the best planters that bowl one-handed. So two-handed, the same thing. When their heel hits, that's where I measure their timing, not when their whole foot's down. Whereas a slide person, when their whole foot gets in front of their head, I measure. But people that plant, I measure their heel.
Okay.
Because when that foot comes down, that tends to be when they sink up their shoulders. So when they step and plant, their foot goes down. That's when the shoulders make their downswing. So if you measure there, they're always about 10 to 15 to 20 degrees early. But if you measure their heel, they're in time.
Nice. And we're probably going to touch more on timing because that's extremely important in the equation of all of this stuff working.
100%.
Last question. Any tips to help keep my left arm quiet?
That's a tricky one for me because I never thought about my left arm my entire career. You just kind of went out there and it died. I was more like Parker and Bill O'Neill. My left arm kind of died. You got, Chris Barnes and the guys from Wichita State a lot of times. They had kind of the swim move. Then people come out there and just keep it really balanced. Bill Taylor back in the day, just have it real quiet. So then you had like Dave Husted, Mark Roth, and Walter Ray. They basically almost dislocate their left arm coming back, but their chest never moved. Most people try to pull their left shoulder back. They tend to over-rotate their upper body. So now their breastplate's not facing where they want it down lane, and that pops their swing out of the slot. So whatever your left arm does, it can't affect your breastplate. If you're trying to get that swing from the back, if your breastplate doesn't move, your swing stays in the slot. You start moving this breastplate 10, 15, 20 degrees left, my swing bounces out of the slot. And the problem with that is the target didn't move. So if my breastplate doesn't move, my swing slot, my ball's going through the front target and the back target. So as my upper body starts rotating, if I pull my left arm back too hard and my chest goes this way, my swing bumps slightly to the right because my breastplate controls my shoulder and my shoulder controls my thumb. So when these two move, it goes out. So now I can hit my front target, but I'm slightly 2, 3, 4 boards inside my back target. That might be the most common miss I see. Always, and it's usually caused by early timing. Because your weight transfer gets on the left leg too soon, this becomes your power source.
Never a good thing. Never a good thing. I know that much. Okay, we appreciate the questions, and anything you want to say to our people out there?
Just keep sending the questions in. I love doing this. I coach for a living. My whole goal is not to be the best coach. My whole goal is to help the most people in history of bowling. If I can help more bowlers through social media, lessons, camp bakes, the video series I did with Jay Subamani and the crew, my books that are still selling. Any way I can help bowlers, virtual lessons, which have really done really well. If I can help the most bowlers before I'm done coaching, then I did my job. It's not about being the best coach, it's being the most helpful guy I can be. And your questions are great. Doesn't matter what skill level you're at, if you're starting out or you're on tour not cashing. Doesn't matter, I'll help everybody. Keep sending the questions, I love it. Keep watching the Cleanup Crew.
Make sure you like and subscribe to this content if you want more of this. Mark Baker, everybody. Cleanup Crew, crew out.